Ready Check Radio.
What's up, Internet? Welcome once again to Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast by Ready Check Radio. We've got a lot of World of Warcraft stuff to talk about, I think. There's like something going on in the game today, maybe, and I'm wearing a frickin' pink hat. I'm not all that pleased about it. My name's Mike Byrne. I'm the host here today, and, well, every damn week. And, yeah, so a few episodes ago, I lost a bet. I feel like Kat lost that bet too, but I don't see her in a pink hat.
Didn't make the pink hat bet. That was all you.
That is true. Like, I even went back and looked at the footage. I did put the handshake out, so oof. Yeah, I'm wearing a pink hat because I lost a bet to one of my co-hosts, Mr. Dom Greco, a.k.a. Zista. What's up?
How's it going? How you doing?
You have an achievement.
I got an achievement? What? Oh, I did. Been getting achievements all day.
Oh, God.
That's a nice number of points.
You want to read that, considering that some of our listeners may be on Spotify and can't see this?
It's the achievement platter, awarded for getting all the hottest achievements. Try not to burn yourself on it.
God, we're not even 4 minutes in. It's gonna be a long one. Also, freshly rest from her week off. Welcome back, Kristen DeVita, aka Kat. How are you, Kat?
Hi, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Glad to be back.
Even with the Scourge and everything?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. Really appreciate Missy filling my shoes last week. Thank you so much for stepping in.
Did a fantastic job. Our resident lore keeper keeps us supplied with all of the lore or lies, which we'll get to at the end of the show, as always, giving you the answer for last week's lore or lies and setting you up for another mystery on who's telling the truth and who isn't here on Ready Check Radio. Remember, this show's live every Tuesday, at 7 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. If you're watching the video on YouTube, you can check out the website, ReadyCheckRadio, RAIDEO.com. If you're listening on Spotify, head on over, follow all the socials, spread the word. We're about a month into getting started here with our two premiere shows. We've got our third show spinning up Saturday of this week as well on general gaming. So that'll complete our launch lineup. We are off, we are rolling, and we hope you'll join us and drag all of your friends kicking and screaming along. Could always use the support, so come follow. Check it out. And, Styx will probably give you a damn sub along the way at some point. That dude's crazy. All right, let's get down to it. The Scourge Event is live in World of Warcraft right now. Went live today at about noon Eastern. So some of us, all three of us, have had a chance to dive in.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So to certain extents, all of us have dove into the event and kicked things off. And I think the first thing we got to talk about is we learned how easy it is to kidnap a king, I think is exactly what happened.
Not just a king. Not just a king.
Yeah, not just a king. I mean, I've literally, and I'm going to show some footage. This is me doing one or two of the quests along the way, doing some surveying and things like that in Ice Crown. Just so you can see a little bit. No spoilers in here. However, we will be showing a couple trailers in a few minutes in the B-roll there. And if you haven't done the event yet, I guess there's a minor 1 or 2 spoilers in them. If you were looking for resolution from the story trailer 10 days ago or whatever it was. So forewarned is forearmed, I guess. But they're very light spoilers and probably things you already expected. Anyway, so yeah, apparently all it takes is 2 winged creatures to kidnap a king that I once saw battle res an entire army. So I'm not exactly sure like the strength here. But as far as queuing the event up, Zista, how far did you get? What were you noticing? What were you enjoying? What were you maybe not enjoying? Because I have a couple gripes about it, as I'm sure you both do. Maybe the premier gripe we should probably talk about is that this is now the third time we've had basically a twist on the same type of event. Maybe that's not to everybody's liking, but Zista, where did you fall with your experience so far?
I'm done. I finished it for the whole week. I got the pet. That was my main objective. I can't say my main. That was one of my. I had two main objectives. One was the pet. One was the bag. Because it's the only 34 slot bag in the game that doesn't cost 500,000 gold.
Right.
So had to get it, and it's not a guaranteed drop. So that even more impressive that I got it off the first possible kill. So I was very happy with that. I did get my pet. I don't care so much about the transmog. All the gear that's dropping off the rares and stuff is gear that the appearance can be acquired elsewhere. So I'm really not too concerned with the rest of what's going on. I did it all in one day. It's a little disappointing, but I'll probably still hunt some of the rares just for fun.
Well, that was going to be the next question then. If you are at that stage, how likely are you to do any of the dailies? Not just the hunting of the bosses, but the actual dailies themselves.
Yeah, I'll probably continue to do some of the dailies. I'm not going to be like, oh my god, I have to do them every single day kind of deal. I'll probably try to do them every day, but if I can't, I'm not going to go nuts over it, just mainly because I can get extra pets. When you get the pre-launch event stuff like this, the pet is a limited thing. Once the event is over, it's gone. You can't get it anymore. So it's tradable. You can put it on the auction house. So it's one of those things you might want to hold on to for a couple expansions and make some gold once it's gone.
Kat, I know you were a little late jumping in. You had work and all that adult stuff going on, but you did get some hands-on time. Where are you in your travels?
I got through. I think I got through all the high points right now. I have not hit a bunch of the rare spawns yet, but I did get through the first primary quest line into unlocking daily quests. Went out, had a little tussle with Mr. Blightcaller. I thought it was pretty. I mean, it's very standard WoW stuff. Like nothing about it feels particularly special at this stage. It's exciting because it's new content right now, and I've been dying for new content in WoW. I like seeing the Argent Crusade kind of make a return. It's cool to see a lot of this like throwback stuff.
Yeah.
Especially since it's been like 10 years or so since some of these factions and characters were really active and important. The Anduin being kidnapped by those pseudo Valkyr things, very funny to me.
It's just
also
like, this is Stormwind. Like the cinematic was like great, whatever.
Yeah, like
he's like, well, I'm gonna go visit the grave of. Oh my god, I'm kidnapped. I mean, it was just like this is Stormwind.
Yeah.
They have defended. They have rebuilt from the cataclysm. They have done all of these things.
Were all the Griffin riders taking a nap? Like where were the defenses?
Where was anybody?
I have a harder time getting into Stormwind and wreaking havoc than those things did. But I thought it was kind of interesting that the cinematic does not make it clear that Thrall, Bane, and Jaina were also taken.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention to the NPC dialogue to catch
they
that
just
information.
kind of notice like, oh, there's like clouds and wind. There must be something bad going on. Unless you are really paying attention, it looks like Anduin gets kidnapped and then that's it.
Yeah, and then you talk to Agra on the parapets of Gromish Hold, and she's like, yeah, I should probably go look for Thrall, but it's better if I stay here and look after the kids. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
This is all was even like more compounded, right? It wasn't just the King of Stormwind just got ripped right out of Stormwind by two winged Valkyrs. Oh, and by the way, 3 other extremely prominent, probably pretty safe no matter where they go, characters just got yanked out of bed and are gone.
Why wouldn't they show that? I don't understand.
I guess they were shaving budget and time on the cinematic, but it's I think it's a negative whenever you have to really kind of. I think it's a negative for the average player who just wants to get in there
Yeah.
and get right to the action, for them to have to pay attention to all of the dialogue. And I understand that this is a role-playing game and you should be looking at the story, and I always do. I talk to the NPCs. I try to pay attention to what's going on around me. So I didn't miss it, but it's so easy to miss. My husband,
Yeah.
who reads the quest dialogue and interacts with the NPCs and tries to pay attention to things, still missed it. So I wish it had been a little bit more obvious that the threat wasn't just fixated on Anduin. I do think it's funny that Tyrande was the only one who didn't get picked up.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They're
she
like-
was a little
and-
busy. She was
and
a little
they-
There's
busy.
something going on with her.
Yeah,
they were
she's-
all like, "Oh man, she's so powerful now," and I'm like, they didn't even try to fight. Like,
No.
mm,
Yeah,
Anyway.
she's a little busy. We'll get to that in a second.
yeah.
I got through the preliminary setup quests and then did a couple of the different dailies that were in there. And I think I'm with you, Kat. I've taken out like 3 or 4 of the world bosses. Did the Nathanos fight. Well, got my
Mhm.
115 tanking staff from my druid that I'm gonna roll into Shadowlands with. So that's nice. Picking
I
up
also
a
got
couple
the
pieces of
glaive off
gear
of him.
because that character is catch up. What's that, Zista?
I said I also got the glaive off of him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a couple pieces of gear so far. So it's like it's funny watching this like newly minted 50 that's like halfway through the war campaign. I was just polishing that off, getting it done. And it's like gear level 54 and now is all of a sudden like gear level 68.
Yeah. So the catch-up gear has been good for you then, because
It has been. It has been.
okay, because for me,
For
like,
this particular character, like my other ones, no. It's my mains
Yeah.
that I haven't played in since like maybe 3 months into BFA. No, it's generally not going to help them. But this character that I rolled specifically after pre-patch started, yeah, it's been good so far.
so I want to note that during the Legion invasions, there was a transmog set, like an armor set, that was unique to the Legion invasions.
Mm-hmm.
That required you, if you had alts, to go through. If you wanted all those appearances, you had to run like the same events multiple times. This time around, it's more focused around the excuse me, the quality of the gear as opposed to the appearance, because these transmogs aren't new, like you guys said.
No.
And I think that's kind of an interesting trade-off. I'm not sure if that was the result of people complaining about missing out on that Legion armor, or if it was just something different that they wanted to try. But I thought that was interesting.
I kind of like where the item level fell to. I've seen a lot of like arguing because it falls in at 100, right?
Mhm.
And I've seen like a lot of bickering back and forth on the internet that maybe that wasn't high enough because it really doesn't prep you for mythics all that well. You still got a little bit of a gap that you should jump before you're going to be well suited for mythics. You know what? I kind of think it's just right going into the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it works exactly for what it's for.
This gear isn't meant to
yeah.
like push you into mythics. It's meant to
Exactly.
get you ready for the expansion. So I think
Yes.
it's fine where it is. I
So-
mean, I wish I could get something a little bit more useful or exciting, but
I wish there was a little more like cosmetic stuff that was unique to the event. Like I pets are great. I love them. You guys know I love them. We got a mount last time. The mount is way better. It's just like I was here. This is mine. If you weren't here, you don't have it. There's the only thing we have to show for is this little Geist pet that follows us around. It's how many people run around with pets following them all the time? It's not very often.
yeah, there's
So,
not a lot of prestige associated
yeah.
with that.
I'm feeling a little lackluster in that department.
I kind of get the feeling that the event is less geared towards existing players than previous events like this have been. Now, granted, there's always an element of gearing them towards returning players, right? But there's also that little sidebar of stuff for the Cats and the Zistas who, even when it's slow, are still playing the game. This one feels like it's very heavily skewed for the returning player or the alt management player.
Heavily playing off the nostalgia.
Almost, yeah. Oh, hey, we're going back to Ice Crown. You liked Wrath, we're going back to Wrath. Let's get you ready for Shadowlands because we're, quote, basically continuing that segment of the World of Warcraft story. So I think there's very much a banking of let's use this to get the new players up, and sorry, experienced players, yeah, there might not be as much here as you're used to, but there's still something for you if you're kind of bored.
What
Well,
do you think about stuff like the accursed keepsake, though? Have you
that's
heard of that?
that's one of the reasons why I'm probably still going to be farming the bosses every once in a
Okay.
while. Yeah.
It's a white item, an upgraded version of the haunted memento that spawns a little ghost that follows you around and hits you with this accursed buff. It's essentially like an HD upgraded version of the haunted memento. Not um not a whole lot of significance to it. It's a very rare drop from the Ice Crown rare bosses that are up. And but as someone who pays attention to like the WoW secrets and the secret finding Discord, I'm wondering what value it might have in the future. So I'm going to be looking for it.
Yeah,
This
if
is all
anything, I think
about
it'd be like a
value.
small little interaction. I don't think it's going to be like anything that's going to, have a mount unlock or anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of backlash and from people that are like, well, it's a 1% drop off of the world boss. I didn't get any. Well, they're not even world bosses. They're more like rares because that's probably my biggest gripe with this whole thing is the ease of which they go down and the lag every 20 minutes in Ice Crown.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so let's kind of segue into there about some of the gripes because that was one that Kat and you and I were talking about prior to the show. Is there's a lot of, particularly for me, right? Wrath, as I've mentioned before, was the first expansion I was ready for when it came out and pre-ordered and all that stuff back when my brother and I played quite a bit together. And so I remember like banging my head against Ice Crown bosses and Argent Tournament bosses and all the different raids, then Nax Ramus bosses and all that fun stuff. So it's very cool to be seeing some of these bosses utilized again in a different way. However, that came with like a feeling of, oh, that's so cool, but then also came with a feeling of, oh, that's a little disappointing because what could they really do with them? But as soon as they spawn, they get mowed down in 20 seconds. And by the way, the server's an entire mess for the 5 minutes while they're getting mowed down every 20 minutes. So
Oh, yeah.
there was it was a good feeling seeing them again, and then a bad feeling on seeing them dead very, very quickly, knowing how much I beat my head into these bosses way back when.
E-
Yeah.
The uh activation mechanic for the rares is new though. Isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but like that 1 minute warm up, that grace
Yeah,
period that Blizzard is giving you now to get to those
I
bosses when
love
they
that.
Yeah,
spawn.
that's
wish-
That
actually
is nice.
thought that was really cool.
I wish some
Yeah.
of the old world bosses would get that feature. Like I can understand
Seriously.
some rares and stuff not getting them, like Time Lost Protojake, where only the first person to tag it, or if you're in a group, I think it's possibly shared. I don't know, but um, I can understand for those not having it, but for like a world boss like Undasta or Galleon and Shawbanger, things like that, like sometimes those bosses go down in like 5 seconds, and it'd be nice to have like a 1 minute grace period to let you know they spawn because like Nalak in Throne of Thunder, or Isle of Thunder rather, he's one that sometimes I miss because by the time he comes down from the sky, if my ranged attack isn't close enough to get him, he's dead before he comes anywhere near the
Yeah.
ground, and I'm just like, really? Like, can we spawn him on the ground or something? So like having a
Yeah.
1 minute, uh, like leeway time, that would be great.
Speaking of some of these bosses, Kat, which were some of your favorites to see? I mean, we've got a Blood Queen, right? We've got a
I
ton of them.
man, there's so many good ones. I've actually been farming Ice Crown Citadel the past couple of weeks because I've been trying to get Invincible and I had nothing better to do in the game. So, some
Well,
of
this
these I'm
event
just
really
like,
doesn't make much more for you to do than to keep
yeah,
doing that anyway.
like seeing Lanathel again or Lady Death Whisper, or it's just like, oh, that's cool that they're there, but I just saw you yesterday. So like, I do like seeing the Sand Lane. I'm looking forward to the Sand Lane getting more lore because I think that they are kind of an interesting. I like vampires. What can I say? I'm just one of those people. I like vampires. So I'm looking forward to more Sand Lane nonsense, and looking forward to someone screaming Ice Crown Citadel was but a setback. Um, I don't care about the rest of, like, it's cool to see them, but like nothing really stands out to me. I'm just like, yay, they're here and now they're dead.
I did like Noth. I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
that's like heart spot for Naxxramas, and I know it's not the
Not
same
as cool.
not the same
Yeah.
heartfelt Nax that you have, Zista, with the original Nax, but I like Noth being there, Noth the Plaguebringer.
Yeah, unfortunately, the one I didn't get that far. Noth wasn't up when I came in. I actually just missed Lady Death Whisper and Putricide and Lanathel. I just missed them. So like when I had jumped in, I got to Scotty the Ruthless from what is it, Utgard Pinnacle.
That guy with the proto drink.
That was the
Yeah.
first one I did too. Yeah, it was
Yeah, so
Scotty and then Ingvar.
Yep. I made it all the way to Marwyn, and that's where I stopped for now. But it was good. It was good seeing them back.
But boy, do the servers suck when this happens.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's
Orgrimmar is like
what has me concerned with launch for Shadowland, because it's like if this is happening for a pre-launch event on just a bunch of like rare spawns out in the world, what does this mean for the actual launch of the expansion?
It's gonna be brutal.
I don't know, but it does make one a little nervous. Speaking of bosses, there is a separate quest to take care of the Blightcaller himself. And everybody's done that, right, Kat? You said you did it, and I did it. And Zista, you're done. So I assume you went and did this before you headed off to ICC.
I actually did it afterwards. I did it backwards.
Oh, okay. Interesting fight. I liked this fight more than I liked the bosses in Icecrown, only because I thought there was a few harder mechanics as far as penalty. Like if you didn't move, even at higher gear levels, if you didn't move quickly, you were dead within about 3 seconds.
You lost like 20% of your health a tick or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, the plague covered arrows and then the poison puddles on the ground. They were kind of brutal. And I loved when a bunch of people close to Nathanos would get poison puddled and then the entire spot, and nobody moved because they didn't realize what was going on, and you just start seeing these level 50s just keel over left and right.
It's not necessarily they didn't move because they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
They didn't move because you don't have to move for mechanics anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's one of the things. And Shadowlands, I'm hoping, is going to bring that back where it's like mechanics matter, you know?
Not outside of Raid, anyway,
yeah.
We did get a question answered that we speculated on a few shows ago on Nathanos' fate. Doesn't end so well for the Blightcaller. After getting a visit from a friend, Kat, it doesn't pan out so well.
Dude, this is one of the first times where I think Tyrande was completely fucking badass. Like, I think that cinematic treats her very well. And I really enjoyed that cinematic post Nathan. So
the interesting thing though, Kat, is we speculated talking about this, like, will he die, when we saw the story trailer. But then we also said, well, that's kind of what he wants to happen, right? Because he would end up in the maw with Sylvanas, and he exactly references that exact scenario in this cutscene that you're just sending me back to my lady. Which realm? I don't know, Styx.
Which part of the Shadowlands do the Sims go? Yeah, I don't know. I'm one of the few people who I think really likes. One of the few people that I know who really likes Nathanos. So
I do not.
I think he's great. I think he's funny. So I'm looking forward to seeing whatever happens to him, if anything else happens to him.
Zista, here's a question I have for you. After watching the story trailer, like 9-10 days ago, and then watching the various cinematics in the event itself, including his death cinematic and Anduin being kidnapped, and the overall cinematic itself, like. A lot of the story trailer was these cinematics, not story trailer from actual Shadowlands. I don't know if I feel a little cheated by that or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to have a lot of it as a mystery, like build up and try to piece it together as we go. I'm not one of the people that enjoys having all the answers laid out for you. Like, I grew up watching shows. I don't want to say grew up, but like, because some of my favorite TV shows are like Lost and shows like that where you have a mystery and it slowly unfolds and may not be as satisfying by the time you get to the end as you hoped it would be. But like Shadowlands is bringing back a lot of that mystery for me. It's like I really want to dive deep into it, and like I have access to the beta, and I've avoided doing a lot of quest chains and a lot, reading a lot of the spoilers on Wowhead, because I want the story to unfold for me more naturally than like all that. So I'm not too jaded that we didn't get like a lot of background stuff in a YouTube video. I'd rather see that kind of stuff done in game. So
No doubt. Like I want to
glad
see
they
the
worked
main
it in,
story beats in game, but I feel like it was you pumped out the cat. Maybe you disagree with me too here. Like I don't think I feel cheated that the story beats were not fully explained. Like I'm with you on that, Zista. I want them to be explained in game as the story plays out. I just feel like that there was one cinematic released on the YouTube channel 10 days ago that was really just a large part of it was really just cinematics that we had for a pre-event chopped up and spliced together in a different sequence. It almost just felt like a recycle to me, a reverse recycle. We created these trailers for this pre-events thing. Now let's take pieces of it and build a story cinematic and put that out first. Like kind of a reverse recycling.
I kind of liked it as a teaser. I mean, I'm not one who enjoys the movie trailers that give away too much of the plot. So I like whenever the trailers and the teasers can be a little bit misleading, because you're left with surprises, and I like to be surprised by the story. So I'm okay with it. I mean, could we have seen a little bit more? Maybe, but it's what was ready. It's what they felt comfortable putting out there. So I don't know. I just gotta take it in stride, I guess.
I'm in the minority on this one then, and I can deal with that. I've got a pink hat after all.
Yeah.
What?
Now, that being said, and our gripes with certain things in there, this is only week 1 of a 2-week event. So looking forward at what we're going to get out of the second week, does that take either of you from the, hey, this isn't that terribly great for the everyday player? Does it give you a little bit more to look forward to? Or is it just kind of, well, yeah, it's just going to be another little story sequence that I'll go in and do and a couple new dailies? And there's really not much that really gets the blood flowing looking forward to week 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's coming out in terms of story, but if that is the case, I'm excited to get a little more story in it. Like, as I said, I'm pretty much done with the event in terms of getting the cosmetics that I want. I don't have much to do in that department. So yeah, anytime there's more story to be had, I'll gladly eat it up. But outside of that, I think they're adding more dailies and things like that as it goes on. But that doesn't excite me,
Kat, you seem like you're in the same boat too. You're just,
Yeah, I kind of hate daily quests. I don't think they add much to the game. I'm looking forward to the story developing, but that's about it, really.
So I think we're all in the same boat then. The expansion needs to come out tomorrow. And we'll just move straight into the expansion.
Tomorrow, you wouldn't be wearing a pink hat right now.
And I still would be, because you'd still be the winner.
Be the closest,
ultimately, yeah. It was Price is Right rules. You automatically win there. So I gotta say, it's fantastic. I think the event itself is fantastic for what it's actually meant for. Gear up your alts, and if you're returning to the game, get your character ready here real quick, because you get your boost and you get all that stuff.
I do want to go out.
Pre-order.
I do want to go out and be a zombie for a while and see what kind of fun is to be had.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of being a zombie, that ghoul quest is fucking horrible. I hate that quest.
It's really dumb. Mash 1 until you die.
Oh wait, I'm at 10%. 4. Okay.
Yeah.
1.
It's not very fun. It's not very engaging.
Yeah, it was not a great quest. Anyway, check it out. Let us know what you think about the event in the comments below, whether you're on ReadyCheckRadio.com or whether you're on YouTube. moving on, like this happened pretty much like while we were prepping for last week's show, so a little before the show, but we didn't get it in time to be part of last week's show, so I wanted to bring it and talk to you about it this week and get your take on it. Blizzard has updated its policies for input broadcasting software. And for those of you that don't multi-box, you will probably be asking, what the hell is that? In most cases, it refers to software that is going to mirror a keystroke on one keyboard across multiple PCs or multiple applications. In this case, booting up a bunch of WoW accounts and holding down W, and all the characters walk forward at the same time, right? That's the basic gist of it. So the policy has now been updated. As World of Warcraft has evolved, our policies have also evolved to support the health of the game and the needs of the players. We've examined the use of third-party input broadcasting software, and we've seen an increasingly negative impact to the game as this software is used to support botting and automated gameplay. The use of input broadcasting software that mirrors keystrokes to multiple WoW game clients will soon be considered an actionable offense. We believe this policy is in the best interests of the game and the community. So, in one stroke, I get it, right? You've got a bunch of clients, particularly with changes to the way materials are farmed in the game that happened way back when, where they don't despawn and things like that on your screen because I harvested them, etc. I get it. Running around with 5 to 10 characters and harvesting a bunch, sure, that's going to be one of the primary arguments against this type of ease of use. Using this type of software is the economic hit. Whether or not it's as big as Blizzard or other players would have you believe, I don't know. But that's certainly going to be one argument against this. Zista, I've never multi-boxed. I don't have that kind of time nor desire myself. But have either of you, first off, multi-boxed in general? First off, it's important, but I guess we should disclaim here. Multi-boxing is not a swear word, by the way. That is not the part that Blizzard has the problem with, and we'll get to that in a second. So have you guys ever multi-boxed yourselves?
God, no.
Yeah.
I haven't multi-boxed with input software. I have, on one occasion, multi-boxed 2 versions of WoW on the same computer, which I was alt-tabbing back and forth between, but that was when I was recruit-a-friending myself, so I could get some of the rewards, like the Zevra and the rocket and things like that. And then, because you get the increased dungeon experience, so I would queue up in a dungeon and bring myself along, and you literally, and this, it was, it wasn't popular because you would have one person that's basically dead in the run, so you're formatting the instance with one guy on follow, and people aren't too happy about that.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, that if I had input broadcast software, then I could at least level 2 mages or something, and have them both be doing the same thing and have some use in the dungeon. And I think that's probably what Blizzard had in mind when they were first allowing this to go through, that it would be okay for those situations. But yeah, exploiting for getting herbs and inflating or dominating the economy is definitely, I think, the big problem and the reason why.
Zisto multi-boxing just to pretend he has friends.
It's true. It's true. It's rough though in a game.
Look,
like this,
Mom, I have friends in my party.
When you're looking to recruit a friend, it's like everybody that is probably already playing, or they're not gonna have any interest in playing. So it's like, to recruit a friend to this game, it's rough. It really is. It's got to be either somebody somebody wants a second account, or the easiest thing to do, especially when the game goes on sale for $5 for the battle chest and the holiday sales and stuff like that. Just buy it for yourself. Get an account. You pay for 1 month or 2 months or whatever it is on the thing, and then you get a free month. So you get it back on your account. So it's not like you're losing any money in that department. So I don't know.
Have you ever been in a battleground that includes multi-boxers?
I have.
It's the funniest fucking shit. I mean,
The
I
shamans
think
and
it's
the mages
hilarious.
are the worst.
It's stupid, it's frustrating, but I think it's so funny. And
Yeah.
that kind of thing is also damaging to the gameplay of other players, and I get it.
I
So
don't know.
it's
When I see synchronized swimming, I'm pretty happy. Like, I don't care.
it's impressive. Yeah,
I
whenever
don't
like
care if I'm in a battleground or whatever. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That looks like I'm gonna take the L here, but that's cool.
you see like 8 people show up in Orgrimmar all playing the same class, all wearing the same transmog, doing like synchronized emotes and stuff. Thrall A, Thrall B, Thrall C, Thrall D, etc. It's kind of fun, but that's not enough of a positive for me. I
I'm
think
not sure
the
how it works in all that, but if you were to sap one of those guys or sheep them or CC them in some way and they get separated from the rest of their multi-box group, does that like mess them up for the whole thing?
I mean, they'd have to regroup, I would think. I don't really have any direct experience with it, so I can't really say. The only time I've ever had multiple WoW accounts was like back in vanilla, whenever you couldn't play Horde and Alliance on the same server.
Because it just seems
So
like if they're mirroring the keystroke every time you move forward, one's always going
yeah,
to be trailing behind.
some guy just like running into a tree while the rest of the posse of 8 mages is off like blasting everybody. They
Well,
probably
Blizzard did threaten to send out warnings, and then they went ahead and followed up on that. We have
oh no.
screenshots of actual people getting the warnings saying there's recent activity on this account in which characters were using software intended for input broadcasting. Using this software creates a detrimental gameplay experience for the majority of players in World of Warcraft. We need to warn you that we will restrict accounts which continue to use this type of software. You can find more information about the policy here. The account holder is responsible for all activity on the account. We issue suspensions and closures to protect our players and our service in accordance, and does go on to say that action will further uses will, result in action up to and including permaban of an account. So following through, but then here's the interesting part that I need a little help on. The multi-boxing policy on Blizzard on Battle.net was actually updated 3 days ago to address 2 questions, or 1 question: is multi-boxing allowed? And their response is multi-boxing or playing multiple World of Warcraft accounts at once is not a violation of our end-user license agreement. Please note, however, that use of input broadcasting software may result in account penalties. So if multi-boxing isn't the problem, and Blizzard very clearly comes out and says that is not the problem, it's the third-party software that is the problem. What's the end game here, Kat? Is it just to make the ease of doing things like farming resources or materials and things like that while multi-boxing make it less convenient, less economical to do because the software itself does that? Or was there another aim here at maybe some potentially malicious third-party apps that this is maybe the starting point for a review of?
I really feel like it comes back to gold farming and making that harder. I don't know how input broadcasting could be used maliciously. It's not really the kind of thing that does that.
No, and
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that, but we've had instances of other companies, and Moss Entertainment, when they ran Terra, the Exiled Realm of Arborea, Terra, crack down on just third-party apps in general after allowing them for years and years, something as innocuous as single-person DPS meters and things like that. Now, forget the content aside that some games don't like DPS meters being attached, but they had readily talked about them, let players use them, never really addressed them for years, and then all of a sudden crack down. I'm more with you that the point here is probably, you know what, while multi-boxing is a function that an actual player, not a gold farmer, might find benefit and value in, and we certainly don't mind the extra sub, by the way.
I mean, that's why multi-boxing isn't illegal, allow it so they can get those extra subs.
It's fine, but this makes it too convenient for, Kat, to your point, the gold farmers and RMT and things like that let's take away that ease of convenience more than it is an attack on any type of third-party applications, Zista.
Yeah, I don't think it ever would have gotten as out of hand as it is if we didn't have WoW tokens that you could buy in the auction house for, gold, and people are spending real money, so you buy them in gold, so you don't have to pay for your account. And if we didn't have mounts that cost, upward 2 to 5 million gold between, spiders and brutosaurs, like if those things didn't exist, I don't know how crazy people would go with multi-boxing, because I personally have at least one person in my guild that picked up multi-boxing to get a Brutosaur, and then once they got the Brutosaur, they dropped all their accounts and they're back to just playing normally. So I don't know. So I actually had linked him this article, and I said, "Hey, you got out just in time, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, just about."
Indiana Jones did under the door.
Yeah, pretty much.
Reach back, grab my hat, and we were good. All right, moving on in Blizzard news here, or in World of Warcraft news. Blizzard ran a free weekend this past weekend for returning players. It's already over, so hope you had fun. And if you didn't, sorry. But it ended on the 9th, yesterday. And there's one thing I wanted to ask you, too, about this and get your take on, because I feel like this might have been, if I'm the marketing team at Blizz, might have been a little bit of a missed opportunity. Always nice to give expired accounts a free go, whether that's a weekend, a week, a month, whatever. I always like those types of events. I love when Final Fantasy XIV does it. It's very easy to get your returning friends to come back, even if it's just for a few months, because they sub for a month or two. But they had it for a weekend and ended it the day before the Scourge event. And while I understand on some levels why you might want to do that, I feel like going into an expansion like this, would it have been a little better marketing-wise to maybe at least give them the first week of the Scourge event? Let them see these cinematics for Shadowlands if they haven't pre-ordered them yet. Let them see what's going on with some of the characters they might be familiar with or might remember or might have fond attachments to. Let them jump into these, what are we doing back in Icecrown for this event? Let them experience. If you don't want to give them the whole event, that's fine. What's wrong with giving them the first week of this event? Get them back in that flavor of updating gear and seeing these characters. I feel like maybe it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, but maybe there's an aspect I'm not considering here, Kat.
So here's my theory. I don't know if you remember the numbers from that financial call that they had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they were big. They were big.
The barbershop was immensely popular. The changes made to character appearances immensely popular.
Yep, we reviewed the numbers on last week's show.
So the popularity and the excitement surrounding those things might have been enough of a draw on its own. The level squish, the changes to leveling, this weekend could have given people a chance to whet their curiosity, get in, redecorate and restyle their old characters, get just enough of that kick of nostalgia or desire to come back and see what's going on with Shadowlands. I think we talked about the Shadowlands, like the Scourge event. It's nothing. It's interesting for the players who are there. It's an interesting draw for new players, but I don't think it's anything especially exciting as far as an introduction to the next expansion goes. So I can kind of see why they would just do a weekend thing. A weekend too also has like a high possibility of attracting people just because they're not working.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you definitely do the weekend. Like I think you run it for a week plus 2. You do your weekend and then you kill it before next Tuesday's round. Week 2 goes in, Zista, for the new event. And yeah, I don't think the event itself is like a huge draw, but getting them as soon as they log in Tuesday, getting that alert, headed to Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and seeing the new cinematics and seeing Bolvar and like just I think there's just a little bit of a miss there.
I don't know about that, because if I was not somebody who played this game and I log in and I have a character that is close to max level and I log in to do the event and I'm in Icecrown and the game is lagging every 20 minutes, I don't know if I would continue to play this game. So
No,
I think it might be a good
disagree.
thing.
I would agree with you if the event were free for all, not free for returners. I think free for returners have enough knowledge to know, hey, there's a big event going on. That's what's pulling this down. If it was
Still,
an
as somebody
advertisement
who
to like,
doesn't play a lot, if I go, they still have it fixed. Like if I was playing in BFA, right, and I stopped playing because lag was really bad in BFA too, and it's in a lot of world zones and stuff like that. And I have a max level character, and I let my sub lapse, and they're like, "Oh, here's a free weekend, come back and play." And I saw that, I'd be like, "I'm out, sorry." So I don't know. It's a double edged sword.
fair point. I mean, I can't argue it, can I? I can't
Yeah.
argue it. There's fucking lag, and it is
Yeah,
fucking terrible.
It's not
I
fun.
don't. Yeah, I don't see the harm in going either way with it. Really, if they let people stick around for a week, that would have been pretty cool. To share that intro event with some friends who don't
And you
have
technically, if you do
Shadowlands.
it that way, you actually can get 2 weekends in.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
I think
why
is a
not?
little more of, hey, I'll play Saturday, and oh, cool, I could play next Saturday too, and oh shit, the expansion's 2 Saturdays from them, basically, right? 2 Saturdays
Maybe
from then.
maybe Big
Yeah.
Daddy Activision was like, you guys have a budget and we need more money, and yeah.
Did
But
you
it's
just see we raised our forecasts to $2 billion for the fourth quarter?
You look at
Don't
like
be
an event
giving
like
away
this
these
versus like
weekends.
Overwatch, for example. When Overwatch does free weekends, I, as a typical Overwatch player, I will avoid playing Overwatch during Overwatch free weekends because I don't want all of that newbie nonsense in my matches. Like it's absolutely insane. You can tell
No, see,
as
that's
like
when you
a
go in with a
player.
pre-made.
Yeah.
Moving forward here, so the whole curse Overwolf curse Forge app, too many words in all of this shit, has now officially taken place. See, I'm not a huge add-on guy, I should mention, and even
Right.
like one of the big primary ones that I use, which you probably saw in the footage, was LVUI, and that's not part of this. It's going through its own. It may be in the future, but it isn't right now. That goes through its
LVY has
own.
always had its own thing.
Yeah, they're talking to them about potentially becoming part of this, but they're
That'd be cool.
yeah, I think it would be. But so I haven't really had to interact with the app or anything at all. Zista, have you? And if so, what are your thoughts? Are you happy with it? No? Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, like I said a couple weeks ago, I've been playing with the Overwolf client for a while because I
Right?
use it for.
I almost said Overwatch too.
Yeah, because I use it for both Hearthstone and Fall Guys, so I'm already familiar with the basic gist of the client. The new part, the Curse Forge, is like a separate app within the Overwolf client, and it functions almost exactly like the Twitch app did. The only gripe that I've seen a lot of people complaining about is there's a little square down in the bottom, and depending on whether you have it full screen on your monitor or if it's in windowed mode, the ads don't really change very much in size. So if you're complaining about the size of the ad, open it up full screen and it doesn't get any bigger. So that might be an option for you. I know they have like a premium feature to get
All
rid
I'm
of
going to
them,
say is
but
that when it
yeah,
comes to ads, size matters. That's
yeah.
all I'm going to say
Yeah.
when it comes to ads.
But that's
The
really the only
size
complaint
matters.
I've seen from people is just the ads slapped on top of their add-on launcher. That's it.
Which they did address, in an interview with Executive Chief Uri Marchand, who talked about maybe this was with Forbes.com, talked about editing or reiterating the ads. Also importantly mentioned here, Kat, was the use of personal information, a big concern that a lot of people had in this change. And while Yuri did mention that, hey, in the past, we went ahead and we did sell like non-specific data to third parties in the past. We didn't like how we felt after that, after we cashed the check. We didn't like how we felt after that. And so we're
Yeah.
not going to do that anymore. So they have severed those
Sure.
relationships and said they're not going to do it anymore, but still a concern that I see on Reddit every time you talk about the Overwolf app.
Yeah, that's capitalism on the internet. I don't know how else to say it. That's just I'm very cautious with my personal information in these apps because of things like that. I don't trust any company to really keep its word about not
Well, don't get me
selling that
wrong.
information.
This is CurseForge that sold that information previously, right?
No, this is CEO or the executive chief of Overwolf
okay.
talking about having previously sold information and then not doing it anymore.
It's great that he feels bad about it.
Well, like I said, after they cash the check.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you poor baby.
Oh, I know. I forgot to ask you to this on a previous show, probably around episode 2, when we were talking about different things in patch notes and stuff like that coming up in Shadowlands. I wanted to get your take on controller support. That's something some people have done through different key binding software, but now we're going to see active controller support, and I can't imagine myself playing World while I got my guy right here, but I can't imagine actually playing like World of Warcraft on a controller. I say that as I play Final Fantasy 14 on PC and casually using a controller on the PlayStation 4 if I'm just doing dailies and stuff like that. Are you a controller baby in any way? I know, Zista, you love controllers. Anything you can play with a controller, you do. But would you wow it up with a controller?
That is not true. I don't play anything. I'm actually, for me, it depends on like the game. That's because recently on my Twitch channel, I was playing through the Resident Evil series, and Resident Evil was always a game that was made for controller. Even if it was a game that was available on like Steam, they were still making it for the consoles and just porting it over to PC. So it still feels like controller was vital to play in those games. Fall Guys, platformers, I have to play with a controller. I cannot play platformers with a keyboard and mouse. Warcraft, that's gonna be a whole different ball game. I don't think I could ever do it because, like, seriously, like, ever do it because I started playing this game with a keyboard and mouse. I couldn't imagine it any other way. But I'm gonna try it just to see how bad it is or how good it is. But I have a feeling it's gonna go bad.
Yeah, so here's the thing, Kat. Like, if they do it the way and Stick says this in chat, if they do it the way Final Fantasy 14 does it, I think it could actually be pretty nicely done. But it's becoming kind of annoying in Final Fantasy 14 because of ability bloat. That's something that, while World of Warcraft certainly has no shortage of abilities, they've been working on that over the last X expansions, and the bloat is far less than what it has been in years past. So I think it could work, but it's still, when I play on the PlayStation 4, I literally am not doing anything important. I'm not raiding in Final Fantasy 14. I'm not even running like daily dungeons and stuff. That is WASD, mouse it up, baby, for me. It is just like, I'm bored. I don't feel like going down to my computer. I'll do my Final Fantasy dailies here. And I could imagine possibly if I had the ability to play Warcraft on a console, then I would have no problem with this. Other than that potential future thing, I can't imagine doing it on the PC besides trying it out like Zista said.
At this point, for me, it would be learning to play the game all over again, and I'm not gonna do that.
The muscle memory's too ingrained for the rotation.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I can understand the appeal for the controller usage, and I know that I have some friends who would be all about it because it's more comfortable for them to sit and hold a controller for a longer period of time than it is for them to sit at a mouse and keyboard. There's some sort of ergonomic thing involved here, but
yeah,
for
and
me,
that's
no.
certainly a factor that I do like on this whole thing, is that anytime you can make a game more accessible to somebody that may not be able to use keyboard and mouse for consistent lengths of time, I just think that's a good thing in general. Just because it doesn't work for me, that's okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird though, because like my muscle memory is based on the game that I'm playing. So like in World of Warcraft, I actually don't use W to move forward. I use the auto run button on the side of my mouse, and I have A and D set to strafe, so they don't even turn. I turn with right clicking my mouse and all that. But like when I play a game like Overwatch, I have it set to WASD to move, and everything. It's all normal, but you would think going from like Warcraft and then jumping immediately into Overwatch that I'd like fumble over controls, but that doesn't happen for me.
That's also weird because I would if I had to guess, I would have imagined those bindings reversed.
Yeah.
Overwatch was the setup to strafe. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It did lead to the question, Kat, and I know Blizz has already publicly said no, but they've also said no to things in the past, and a few months later we get an announcement. Could there potentially be World of Warcraft on a console in your mind? I mean, the next-gen consoles are pumped and primed and looking for a Blizzard title, I'm sure, and Blizzard's looking to put a title on there.
Will they make money doing that? Or is WoW too old of a game and is it no longer enough of a draw for people on a console market?
Well, Warcraft's been a dead game for how many expansions now? 5?
Well,
yeah.
And also here's the thing too. Like there are a lot of us that even if we we already sub, right?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, I have purchased the expansions for both the PC and the PlayStation 4 so that I have the ability to play on both. Destiny 2 does a similar thing, right? You can cross progress, but you cannot play expansion content on a platform that you have not purchased the expansion for. So if they did something similar, which is market trend along there, any of us that play on PC that wanted to play on consoles would have to buy some type of package that they gave us, right? Here's $30 for all of it, some type of deal like that or whatever. So there's money off the bat right there. But I do like, Kat, how your approach was. I thought you were like almost pretending to be Activision Blizzard CEO. You're like, let me ask you a question. Can we make money?
I feel like Blizzard has become much more profit focused and profit driven since the maybe not since the Activision acquisition, but there's definitely been a shift in the company's focus.
So,
like
in
last
your
week
opinion,
we
is that
talked
a
about,
yes or a no on, let's
oh
say?
no, I don't think WoW's going
a
to come
year
to
from now?
console. I think that if Blizzard's going to make another title for a console or put another title on console, it's either going to be Diablo 4 or it's going to be something else in one of these other universes that they are continuing to develop. I know they want to make multiple titles for Overwatch, it's been said. So
Well,
I could see
and
an Overwatch.
Overwatch 2 is
Yeah.
guaranteed to be on console. So there's
Yeah,
that too.
yeah. So there's that, and then maybe they'll resurrect StarCraft Ghost. We can always hope.
All right, you keep hoping. I'm going to go to Zista and talk about whether you think. All right, Zista, here's your question. We'll change it up. Which comes to consoles first, World of Warcraft or StarCraft Ghost?
Well, so my question to you, to panel real quick, is how old is Final Fantasy Online?
If you look at A Realm
newer one.
Reborn, 8 years. If you look at the entire thing, 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. So like 8 years ago is very different than 16 years ago. So when a game is made 16 years ago, it was definitely not made with console in mind. So I feel like it would be a lot of work to actually shift that over to
That's
a
a good
design that would
point.
make it work. It's not an easy port. Like if you're making a game nowadays, even 8 years ago, that stuff is in your mind. Like we could do this. Is it practical? And then you look at the technology 8 years ago, and it's like, yeah, it's probably going to be feasible. Maybe not right now, but in 2-3 years, or So I don't know. Like so.
So you're subscribing to the argument of too much technical debt within World of Warcraft to
I think
make
like
that
point.
leap.
you look at in what we have, right? They couldn't update the backpack size in the game because of technical limitations to hardware and software client, script, whatever coding that they created back when the game existed.
That one still boggles my mind.
It blows my mind. And then you look at the stuff that was added in Burning Crusade. You have the Draenor starting area and the Blood Elf starting area that you still can't fly in, and it's like and they're not connected to the world even after the Cataclysm. You would think that invisible barrier would have gone away because those games are now like basically included in the Battle Pass. There's no reason to have them separated anymore, yet they still are. So it's like we have these weird limitations that exist already within the game. It's going to be really hard for them, I think, to port that over to console at this
It
point
would be
without
monumental.
doing a lot of overhauling. So
and then
I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's never going to happen, but I don't think it's likely.
And would it be its own community or would it be crossplay? And it just, I think it's too much.
I don't think you could ever. There would, to your point about it being an aged game, Kat, and what audience would there be? I think it would have to be crossplay. If you make it standalone, it's dead in the water.
Yeah.
Before we slide over to a few other esports related things and finish up with Lorelai's, Kat, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about this beautiful thing that you are
I'm
excited
so excited
about.
about this. Okay, this is really kind of stupid, but I'm really excited about it. There's a new World of Warcraft cookbook coming out in early 2021, and lately, I've been making things from the original. Like there was a first World of Warcraft cookbook by the same author, and I've been making like sweet banana bread, and we did the Brewfest pretzels and the Brewfest beer cheese, and it's just a lot of fun to take that part of the game and play with it and bring that into your real life. So I'm really excited about this one too, because it's written from the perspective of Nomi, who is like, he started out as this little cooking panda cub back in Pandaria, and he kind of grew up with you as the expansions came out. Like in Legion, he was more of a teenager. Then in Battle for Azeroth, he's fully grown, and he runs like that cooking, like the PvP brawl, the Cooking Impossible thing. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be divided into regions. Like there's a whole section of Pandaria recipes that they've previewed.
Those fried cheese dumplings, those sound fantastic.
Yeah.
Havoc in chat talking about stringy wolf meat.
Can't wait. Yes. Yeah. It's I don't know. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to play with it. Our Thanksgiving this year is going to feature some recipes from the first World of Warcraft cookbook. And yeah, I'm with you, Faye. Theme cookbooks are so much fun. Like the Game of Thrones cookbook, the Necro Nom Nom Nom.
Is there a market that Blizzard isn't in at this point with the WoW IP? Like I can't think of one. They've
mobile
got clothing,
games. We need a Diablo Immortal for World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, we all do have cell phones, so I wish they'd do something with those. When did you say that is? Early next year?
Early next year, yeah.
After
like
the holidays?
January or February 2021.
So go seek out the original for these holidays and then buy this for the next holidays, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I've been asking for mobile pet battles forever. Can we please just get on that?
That was like the biggest no-brainer thing when Pet Battles was even teased. Was like, oh, you have to make this mobile. Come on. Yeah. Anyway. Let's wrap up with some other Blizzard news. Overwatch Season 25 just got underway. Zista, you've already started the grind.
I have.
You've got about 2 months. Ends on January 7th, so grind. But Kat wants to point out that Smurfs and alt accounts are not making the grind very fun right now.
I was doing some reading about it, and I don't usually pay that much attention to the Overwatch community. I don't play Overwatch. But I noticed a lot of grousing, a lot of complaining about how placement has been challenged by Smurf accounts, basically really good skilled players coming in with these low-ranked baby accounts and matching with people who have no chance whatsoever.
See, now how much of it is legit griping and how much of it is me playing Rocket League in competitive and going, that's a Smurf, because they beat me. That's a Smurf. That's a Smurf.
There's actually a good portion of it. As someone who plays often, and I play with a lot of friends that are, a little bit lower. Because for me, my gold sits in about or my DPS sits at about the gold range, and then my tanking and healing is in about the platinum range. I don't see it too much in my skill levels, but I know a lot of people that are gold and sub gold get into some insane matches, and I've actually paired with them in some of their placement matches, and I've seen it, and it's absolutely insane where you have Widowmakers flying through the air nailing every headshot, and like at that point you have to wonder, is this a bot? And they're pretty good about having their bots, and I'm watching replays, and you can go back and rewatch the matches and stuff like that, and you see like the flicking and stuff that typical master ranked players have. So it's definitely a problem, but it's like, how do you fix it at that point? Because if you have, to make a ranking system that's fair and a skill level that's fair, if you have an account that looks like it's never played before, how do you really match that up?
You have to treat it like an account that's never played before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like you have an account that's never played, they don't know where to throw you into the ranking. It's going to be disruptive to gameplay. I don't have a good solution for it,
I don't know what the answer is either, but it is a problem beyond Overwatch, and it affects other
Oh, yeah.
competitive games as well. So
Oh yeah.
anything that has like that ranking system is going to be at least partially impacted by the whole smurfing thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever played Overwatch on my one account. I've
Yeah.
not bought multiple accounts. I have a friend personally who plays. He has 3 accounts. I'm like, why do you have 3 accounts to play Overwatch? He goes, it's just fun. I go, okay. I mean, whatever's fun, if that's what you have fun doing. But for me, it's like I spent all this time, either building up or tanking my own rating, into the ground. It's like that's me. That's what I've done.
Yep.
Like I don't want to do that all over again. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, if it wasn't so harmful to the average player's experiences, then it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But it does prevent a more casual player from feeling rewarded by their time in the game. So it it turns people off.
Yeah. But if anybody out there, if you guys are somebody that runs Overwatch with Smurf accounts and something, and you have like a valid reason for doing it, like, can you let us know in the comments down below? Because I'm actually really interested, because I don't know why. I don't see the point of it. I mean, unless it's if you're a grandmaster, master rank player that literally just wants to troll, or play with some of your friends that are not as skilled, I guess, maybe.
Well, so again, off the top of my head, and I'm more comparing, I don't play Overwatch very often. I go through spurts with my sons. I literally think the last time I played was like a year or so ago. But in comparing it to, other games that I do play that have the same sort of competitive matchmaking, tiered rank up, system that's tried to base on skill, there is an element of, at least initially, I mean, it holds for various lengths depending on the game, front-ending a lot of the random rewards are much easier to obtain a sheer big number of random loot boxes or rare drops, if we're talking about Rocket League or things like those, and give you more chance to pop that item that you're looking for, and then the accounts that you don't get that item on fall by the wayside eventually. So I've seen that in different games where you roll multiple accounts, because the first 50 levels of a season pass or whatever, you can roll through very, very quickly because of your skill level, grab a bunch of random loot boxes, try and get the best pool, and then re-roll another account and do the same thing. Overwatch, a little different because you got to buy the box, right? I get it. So maybe doesn't as apply for that being a primary driver, but certainly a benefit if you're going to do this for some other reason. Finish off, we've got some a little bit of esports news. Not a lot, but just to prove to you that it's still kicking on the Blizzard front, outside of Overwatch, who's still drawing huge prize pools.
You must be talking about Heroes of the Storm.
Yes. This past weekend, 100K prize pool for Overwatch, even if their viewership last year might have fallen, off a slight ledge. StarCraft 2 had a big one at DreamHack ESL, 38K in prizes pools for North America. Lots of Warcraft 3 Reforged tournaments going on. Heroes of the Storm still alive, as well as StarCraft. I mean, so it's still kicking. It's still kicking. We did put that on the end of last week's show, remember? Heroes of the Storm update for you all. It's still around. And then we went right to Lorelai's. So the esports scene's still kicking a little bit. Go ahead, Kat.
I was gonna say it's a lot of it seems to be like, especially for StarCraft and Warcraft 3, it's smaller community. Like there's a Polish focused tournament, there's a French player only Warcraft 3 Warforged tournament, and it's all like crowdfunded, so the prizes aren't huge. But I mean, 38K, I would compete for 38K if I was any good at StarCraft 2. There's a StarCraft competition still wrapping up this week that has a prize pool of almost 70K. I mean, that's awesome. It's still out there. I like to see it. I love to see it. I watch. I follow some esports commentators on Twitter, and it's great to see that they're still like so amped about StarCraft 2 and Brood War.
Always good to see. Let's slide over and do everybody's favorite part of the show. It's time for Lore or Lies. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Woo-hoo.
You got somebody flying in the background there, Zista. What's
I
going
do.
on behind you, big guy?
That's actually me.
That is you. I saw the character name that time.
You did, but
Oh.
good
Remember,
luck finding it
Lore
on the
or
beta.
Lies is brought to you by our resident lore master, Lil Missy. You can follow her right there at the bottom of my screen on Twitter at Lil Missy, LILMISSY 4205 for those of you listening on Spotify. Every week, she gives us a little bit of lore or lies. So actually, last week, technically speaking, there were 2 lies hidden depending on maybe your personal opinion. So the first was a half-truth depending on what your opinion is, that the alliance is now showing signs of strengthening. So some could argue that they're weakening because each race is kind of focused on their own instead of the greater good for Azeroth. But that one's a matter of opinion. So the full lie last week belonged to Zista. You lying pink hat wearing son of a... The Draenei did not make their home on the Isle of Dread. That island is gone, washed away from the Cataclysm. The Draenei are from Azure Mist Isle. Well, speaking of the Alliance, they will need to get their act together because we've heard there's a little bit of a Scourge event going on because you like the other Scourge events. So we've got a third Scourge event for you to be a menace during the pandemic. So, oh boy.
That's a funny coincidence, huh?
Right.
Go spread disease in the game while spreading
Uh-huh.
disease in real life. Oh,
We're going to
man.
give you 3 statements. I'll give you one. Dom, Zista will give you one. And then Kat will give you one. One of them has a lie in it somewhere. The other 2 are the stone cold truth. It's up to you in the comments below on ReadyCheckRadio.com or on our YouTube page to let us know where the lie is. So let's get started. Zista, Kat, are you ready?
Yep.
Mine first. The Scourge was first experimented by the Burning Legion at least 10,000 years ago during the War of the Ancients. The Erdrune raised undead night elves in the ruins of Suramar, and it's never talked about again by the Nightborn. Zista?
Yogg-Saron's Nerubians tried to put a stop to the undead army. They were immune to the plague, but their corpses could still be reanimated to serve alongside the Scourge. The use of Nerubian architecture is a testament to the Spider Lord's tenacity.
Interesting. Kat?
With Northrend under control, the plague of undeath was unleashed southward into human territory. Many of Lordaeron's villages were contaminated almost immediately with help from the Cult of the Damned. Some managed to break from the main army, becoming the Forsaken and the Knights of the Ebon Blade today.
One of those previous 3 statements is false. And it's not enough, YouTube. Stop it. There's 2 episodes in a row I've had to say it. So just tell me which statement is false. You got to tell me why as well. Sometimes it's little and sometimes the whole thing is false. You got to tell me why. What's wrong in the statement. 1's false, 2 are true. Let us know which is which and make sure you follow our lore master, Lil Missy, at Lil Missy 4205. On Twitter. We will be back with this show next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. to cover week 2 of the Scourge event. We'll keep you updated on everything happening in Azeroth. No stream from Jason Winter after this show today for those of you in our Twitch chat live, and we hope those of you watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify will consider coming over live at some point as well. Instead, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a unboxing and setup there of an Xbox Series X, and we'll get to playing that. That'll happen right after this show with me filling in Jason's normal Tuesday time slot. But before that, Kat, next week, we'll be here. Until then, where can everybody find you?
I'm on Twitter at @catnamednorris.
Zista.
You can get me on Twitter at itzzista, Xizta. And also on Twitch at Xizta.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at the bottom of the screen there on Twitter at MagicMan1. But more importantly, follow ReadyCheckRadio.com and all of our socials. We hope you'll join us every week here for Snowbound, the Blizzard Plot podcast. Until next week, stay safe. See you on the servers.